Hey everyone, Rarity Dash here. Time for another Patreon-sponsored blind reaction. And this will come to you courtesy of Russell Ray Young, who has requested that I react to Top 11 Good Animated Dads by CellSpex. So yeah, apparently Russell thought it was important that I have something for Father's Day today. And yeah, I mean, I'm happy to provide. I mean, I have a good relationship with my dad, and yeah, I'm happy to honor the day. And as for this list, I mean, it seems like a cool idea, and considering what might be on it, I don't know. I mean, I would think it's probably going to be more Western animation as opposed to anime. Could be wrong. I mean, there could be a lot of anime dads on it, but we'll see. As for Western animation, though, and sticking just to the shows that I've reacted to, well, I imagine there probably won't be many pony dads, just because I don't feel like any of them are quite notable enough. I mean, some of them are fine, but just they're not really a big part of the show in general, so probably not gonna make the cut. Adventure Time, well, that's a show notable for the bad dads, some of the worst, in fact, like Martin, and yeah, Hudson. I mean, he's better, but just. Not saying something. The demon, Lord of Hell, Lord of Chaos, is the better dad. But I mean, I guess there's Jake. Jake's a good dad. I mean, he's not able to be there enough because of just circumstances of his children's growth and all that. But I mean, it's clear that he just really cares about being a dad. And in the episodes that he does have with his children, we do see those relationships kind of shine through. So that's a possibility, but I don't know. Steven Universe, Greg is a pretty good pick. I mean, I know he's not directly involved day to day with Steven. He's kind of handed that over to the gyms. But I mean, that relationship is one of my favorites in the show, and I just think it's really good. And Greg is such a great guy that he would be a pretty excellent choice for this list. Star versus, well, both River and Raphael, I feel, are good dads. They're silly characters, but I mean, the relationships with their kids are pretty great, and they have their shining moments in the show. So, possible choice, though we'll see. Gumball. Richard's definitely an interesting one. I mean, at first glance, he's so much the stereotypical, just incompetent, bad animated sitcom father. But, yeah, I mean, when you get deeper into it, it's pretty clear that he does really care and does really try. He's just hampered by his overwhelming laziness and general stupidity. I mean, I really like Richard, but I don't think he'll make the. I don't think he'll quite make the cut. Let's say, regular show. Well, there really aren't many dads so far. I mean, I met Margaret's in that one episode, and he was cool, and he definitely cares. But we don't really see him interacting with her all that much. And I guess there's Muscleman's dad in that one episode, but he died, and I mean, the whole lie thing probably rules him out. Rick and Morty, no. No to both Rick and Jerry. Definite no. Castlevania, no. I don't think Dracula is going to qualify. We don't really see any of the good stuff that Alucard remembers anyway. Being Puppycat, I mean, her dad's dead already, I think. I mean, we don't really know for sure, but he's not there. Avatar, Sokka and Katara's dad is cool, I guess, but he's such a minor character. But if you go to Korra, well, they're Korra's dad, he's fine. But Tenzin is perhaps pretty noteworthy. Got a lot of kids, and he seems to do okay with them. I mean, for the most part, it's a lot to handle, and I think it's more than he can handle a lot of the time, but he's a cool guy. So that could be a one to consider. Gravity Falls, we never actually met the dad for the main characters, or the mom, for that matter. There aren't really any other dads I can think of either. I mean, well, Wendy's dad, but it's a minor character. And Samurai Jack. Well, his dad was really cool. Yeah, he was a badass, but I don't know. Probably don't really see much parenting there. Just a lot of other stuff. So I don't know. And Ruby, I mean, I doubt that'll be considered kind of a bit of a different thing. But if it was, I mean, Ty and Gira both are definitely worthy of consideration. And and Jacques is definitely not. But anyway, very eager to see what does make the list. So let's go ahead and get this started. Here we go.
Let's cut to the chase. Dads in animation have had a reputation for a while for being dumb, incompetent, selfish,
and already we got Jerry and Martin.
People.
Oh, wow.
Even caring fathers tend to be on the
Richard.
slow side or the butt of most jokes, and that's before you get into
okay, maybe we are going to be considering anime.
Abuse,
absence, Endeavor.
Borderline incest.
Gotta love Endeavor.
For everyone, you dads deserve better, and good fictional fathers.
Okay, maybe we are gonna have Ruby.
Found them.
Ty.
In fact, I amassed such a surplus of good dad contenders, I ultimately couldn't narrow it down to even 10. This list is partially in tribute to my own dad because he also hates the dumb dad trope. Never mind The Simpsons, he didn't like Berenstain Bears, where you only have to look at several of their covers to get that Papa was basically another child.
Yeah.
Which isn't to say that fictional fathers need
to
be perfect or even completely selfless any more than real parents. But today we're going to honor the balance of making memorable, entertaining characters.
Oh yeah, okay,
and also
Poe's dad is cool.
Effort into taking care of their kids. So here are my top 11 favorite good animated dads.
Wow. Great choice of music.
From Full Metal Alchemist.
Okay.
Not Brotherhood. Gotta admit, I wondered if putting Hughes on the list was a bit too much of a gimme. Yes, he's famous for being one of the best anime dads, sure, but pretty much because of his comedy gimmick of shoving his daughter's picture in everyone's face.
Yeah.
Yes, it's funny and adorable, and his parental enthusiasm is possibly only rivaled by Darth Vader from How It Should Have Ended, but that by itself doesn't automatically make a good dad, and it doesn't help that in Brotherhood he threatens to shoot 3 toddlers just for coming into contact with his 3-year-old daughter. Even if it's Hughes, shotgun dadism is a garbage trope. The first series is a better paced account of that part of the story anyway. Besides, if you're gonna have a funny dad trope, boy, it's nice to see that comedy coming from a place that enjoys being a dad. But what this does show is how dedicated he is to his family, how everything he does is for them, and how they never once leave his mind when he's away from them, and how their existence continuously gives him a sense of joy. There's only a few scenes of him actually being with his family where he does live up to the hype by being attentive and incredibly loving. But it's also his interactions with Ed and Al and how much he looks after them that really shows the kind of caring person he is. He's certainly given them more fatherly attention than they ever got from their own father. And outside of that, he's also a helpful mentor, the loyalist of friends, and a good soldier. That's the bigger reason I think he's remembered. Because he's such a genuine good person, as well as
which
an
makes it suck when
family man.
What happened.
And because of what happened.
Yeah, exactly. Goofy? I mean, that's a good choice.
Marlin from Nemo.
Of course. I didn't really think about animated films all that much.
Of allowing their children to be independent and worrying about their safety. Finding Nemo is probably the best out of all of them. For one, we completely understand Marlin's trauma, but still relate to how that trauma affects his relationship with his son. And refreshingly, the movie's not completely about a parent freaking out over what might happen. Instead, we see what a father goes through when the worst does happen.
Yeah.
But in lieu of any fish police, Marlin himself has to go all Liam Neeson, with mildly less power. But better yet, Marlin's overprotection is not vindicated. Not just because the whole thing may not have escalated to this point if Marlin had been just a little bit more lenient, but over the course of his journey, Marlin is exposed exposed to various scenarios that really teach him that although risks are dangerous, they're a natural part of life and necessary for children to grow. But it's also good that it's
Finding
not
Nemo
just
was really
him.
good.
Nemo also learns to be brave, but also aware that bad things do happen, so don't do stupid things for no reason. And even in the beginning, when Marlin is being the classic helicopter parent control freak, he's still lovingly playful with his son. And of course, you can't say no to a really bad dad joke.
And the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon, little boy blue and the man on the moon.
Monty Uno from Kids Next Door. You gotta imagine that in a premise
Never
about
got into
children
Kids Next Door.
literally warring against adult tyranny, that the child characters would have complicated relationships with their parents.
Yeah.
And maybe at some points, but in general the kids seem to have healthy, loving
Moon.
relationships with their folks. Monty Uno doesn't
Bit late
appear
there,
very
but-
much in the series, but in his brief glimpses, he seems like a good-natured, cheerful guy who just wants to spend time with his son. However, he becomes a central character in the K&D movie Operation Zero, where after number 1 once again spurs his father's invitation for further father-son bonding, he's suddenly blown away when he realizes that his dad had been the great hero and founder of the Kids Next Door. And after returning his childhood memories, the two of them join forces to take down the villain grandfather, who is literally Nigel's grandfather.
Oh.
I always love it whenever parents and children willingly work together toward a common goal, and it's pretty funny to see the distracting kid
That is
while the
pretty cool,
adults doing
but-
something important trope flipped. But what's really great here is number 1 seeing his dad as something other than a parent, as a person who was once a child like himself, and that gives him a whole new perspective and appreciation for him as a
Aw.
father. Really brought home by his dad's final message, which I would classify as one of the greatest dad moments of anything.
I'm just not a kid anymore. I'm an adult, and I need to complete the most important mission of my life, being a good father to my son.
And the cat's in the cradle and the
Cool.
silver spoon, little boy blue and the man on the moon.
The
Drake
song.
Mallard, aka Darkwing Duck.
Oh yeah, I
Close
forgot he
to
was
the
a
dopey
dad.
trope as I feel is acceptable. Yes, his key trait is being an egomaniacal glory hound of a nighttime
Been
crime
forever
fighter,
since I've
thinking
seen
it
Darkwing Duck.
amazing he hasn't yet been murdered by Stain. But for as dopey as he seems, he takes taking care of his adopted
Gotta love the
daughter,
My Hero
Gosalyn,
reference.
very seriously. I absolutely adore the premiere for Darkwing Duck when the two first meet, because it shows two people that are basically alone in the world that decide to find a family in each other. And it doesn't take very long at all for them to absolutely feel like one. Their day-to-day interactions do involve a lot of snark and giving each other grief, but in that overly casual way you know comes from two people that are really close, as well as more or less evenly matched when it comes to temperament, stubbornness, and emotional maturity. And no matter how much they annoy each other, he cares about being a good father. In fact, at one point, a man to whom being a famous hero was the reason he lived and breathed, willingly retired from crime fighting without hesitation.
I mean, honestly,
just
I
to
barely
be a
remember much from
involved
Darkwing Duck
full-time
beyond the theme
parent.
song.
Temporarily, but he was willing. And that's not even accounting for the future where he basically went insane from grief when
I remember
Gotham
liking it, though.
supposedly
I
ran
just-
away, turning him into Batman from the DC
Oh.
universe. Oh my god, Time and Punishment is so good! This is also one of the scenarios where I think the overprotective parent trope is handled reasonably. First of all, because Gosalyn is in fact a child and not basically a grown-up, so it's not possessive and creepy, but that gosh darn spirited tyke has a habit of sneaking along on her dad's missions against his wishes, and even though she does help and have skills, she's just as often kidnapped and almost killed by literal supervillains, so the danger he wants to protect her from is real. He could just potentially handle it better. However, once it happens for the 100th time, eventually it just makes sense that he allows her to train as her own superhero. In fact, at one point in the last season, supposedly she's gained enough independent notoriety, somehow, that Gosalyn and Darkwing actually become rivals, meaning
Oh.
that even though it's technically out of jealousy, here a father sees his daughter as his equal, which is depressingly rare. Oh, and I guess I might as well add Launchpad. The two are technically raising her together. Huh, I guess Loud House wasn't the first.
Okay.
In the cradle and the silver spoon, little boy blue and the man on the moon.
Tenzin and Tunrock from Legend of
Okay,
Korra.
both of them?
Yeah, I'm cheating. Tenzin role in Korra is a bit more about him being a teacher and the leader of the Air Nation, but he is a dedicated family man who spends quality time with each of his kids, as well as essentially being a third parent to Korra. While Tenzin is a wise and excellent teacher, he's also burdened by his own expectations of himself as the son of Aang and being in charge of keeping alive a nearly extinct people. So although he's an airbender, he's not always the best at keeping his cool, which you need when your student is Korra. It eats at him when he learns that his child can do something he can't. However, the show does a great job showing him working through his anxieties, especially with the help of his family. All the while, he's still understanding and supportive of his children and Korra, and stands his ground against what he knows is wrong and when defending his family. And even though I don't particularly like 2 out of 3 of his children, I appreciate how independent and autonomous they're encouraged.
Yeah.
And early on, they're trusted to take on leadership roles. Though that's par for the course in the Avatar universe. A lot of unsupervised fighting children. Tunrock has significantly less screen presence, though a bit more interaction with his daughter. A persistently patient man who does not constantly harass his daughter's boyfriend, and is not irrationally overprotective. Irrational.
I mean,
he and Tenzin do keep her in the South Pole longer than maybe necessary.
Yeah.
Someone puts a hit out on her, but that is a borderline reasonable response. Otherwise,
Kinda.
he's a great supportive parent and a confident, capable leader with his own past baggage. That Korra still yells at, because name one authority figure Korra doesn't yell at. But
Good,
it did
yeah.
make me extremely
Good
happy
point.
to see the rare occurrence in an action property of a father and a daughter fighting side by side. Before Logan, anyway. And way too late I realized that honoring Tenzin and Tunrock but not Iroh is blasphemy, so just pretend that he's also in the spot, because Iroh is amazing.
I mean, don't really see his son ever. I mean, I guess it's kind of a father.
Greg from Steven
There we go.
Universe. At first glance, a man
Zuko,
who lives out of a van, still following his music passion, doesn't come across as an impressive father figure, but on further inspection, his son is technically in training, but it's really likely just because Aller, one of Steven's gem caretakers, finds Greg personally irritating for reasons. And while his lifestyle is unambitious, Steven is well cared for and clearly not starving. But Greg is in a difficult situation. Aside that initially he's consistently undermined and overpowered by the gems, even though they stole his kid once.
Wow.
He has a child who's capable of amazing things, and the gems can teach him and show him things he couldn't possibly comprehend. But it's still an interplanetary war, and how much should his son really be involved? But he also knows that in the end, that's not really his decision. He does have his faults, but his dedication to his half-alien son is not one of them. Greg is absolutely 100% devoted to his child. The two spend plenty of time together. Their buddy bonding over the silliest things is one of the best things about their relationship, and he is capable of putting his foot down even to the gems when he thinks something is wrong. And a lot of the time, he's actually quite wise in a very down-to-earth, emotional way.
Yeah.
And because Steven is so kind and empathic, something the gems themselves occasionally struggle with, you know that influence, at least in part, had to have come from Greg. He may not be traditional, but that's perfect for a story that's all about non-traditional family and love of all kinds.
And the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon. Little boy blue and the man on the moon.
Surprised we're only on
Ichiro
5.
Yagami
Oh.
from Death Note.
Okay, yeah.
Dad
Good choice.
Did everything right.
Yeah.
Being the chief of police
It's just
in
his
pursuit
son
of a
was
supernatural
kind of-
serial killer, while your own child
kind of the
is a
problem.
prime suspect would make
And the-
anyone a little bit tense. But this man is a true professional. He does his job, cooperates with the investigation, and allows his family to be put under 24-hour surveillance, but he still does everything he can to protect his family, including risking his life on multiple occasions to bring a mass murderer to justice and
Badass
his
guy here.
son's name. And when his son is eventually imprisoned, he asks the same be done to him. He even makes his son think he's going to execute him just to prove he can't be the killer. A bit reckless, which is reasonable under the circumstances, but otherwise a truly honorable, admirable figure, not just as a compassionate parent, but an upstanding symbol of authority at a time where that feels like a contradiction. Just a shame his son did turn out to be a devious, megalomaniacal, mass-murdering psychopath that manipulated his father into believing he was innocent right up until the very end. Sorry, Ichiro. It's not your fault. Your son was literally the devil.
Yeah, kind of a shame how that works out.
Stoic the Vast from How to Train
Yeah.
Stoic is the epitome of pride and stubbornness, who clearly cares about his son, but doesn't know at all how to reach him. Similarly, all Hiccup wants is to make his father proud and has massive amounts of respect.
They really did
for him,
great with this
but
relationship,
unable to
especially in the
contort
first movie.
himself into his father's liking. In the first film, their relationship is so frayed, it feels like they hardly ever talk except for Stoic to scold him, making the moment Hiccup finally stands up to him a huge upheaval in their relationship. So going forward into the series, we see father and son really work at how
spoilers.
to improve and advance the village as well as their relationship. There's still a fair
I hope we
amount
get to
of
the series someday.
as Stoic
We'll
always
see,
wants
though.
to act first while Hiccup wants to think, which makes each other both their greatest opposition, but also their best opportunity to grow. Considering where they started, it is so satisfying to see how close Stoic and Hiccup eventually become, as two accomplished men who openly acknowledge and admire each other. And then the second movie happens.
Oh. Yeah!
Hamato Yoshi, or Splinter from Nickelodeon's
Okay.
TMNT. I know you could technically put Splinter from any of the Turtles' incarnation
Yeah,
here,
I mean, he's
as
always-
he's wise, patient,
always
kind,
the
but
dad, pretty
stern
much.
in all of them. But this incarnation puts a much stronger emphasis on his portrayal as parental, which makes sense as it's one of the oddly few Turtles versions that actually pays attention to the teenage part of the title. But that's also probably why he's a bit more disciplinary in this one. Still, I enjoy almost every scene he's on screen. When he's teaching, he's able to address each of his son's strengths and weaknesses in creative ways. Any episode with the Rat King makes him confront his frustration at no longer being human. Naturally, he gives excellent advice and even has quite a few clever comebacks.
Was that fair?
No,
Did I win?
I see your point.
He is quite a bit stricter than the others, but we see right from the start it's because he's earnestly worried about his sons, because he's already lost a wife and child. So much so that when the Shredder first appears, he forbids his sons from even going outside. There are so many moments in this series between Splinter and the Turtles that are genuinely touching. One of the series' best episodes, if not its best episode, is Lone Rat and Cub, where the newly transformed Splinter is figuring out how to cope with his new transformation while taking care of the also transformed baby turtles while hiding from the Krangbots. Aside from this being just one of the cutest things in the world, we gradually see him
Yeah, the
come
baby
to
turtles are
revelation
pretty
through his
adorable there.
caring of them that he wants to be a father again. Not necessarily to replace his wife and child, but to redeem himself for failing to be the fully devoted parent he should have been. I'm gonna miss this show so much.
Okay, I didn't know that version was... I mean...
Professor Utoni
Okay.
from the Powerpuff Girls.
I haven't been really
Another
paying attention
series
to
with a superhero
Teenage Mutant
backdrop where the
Ninja
father-daughter
Turtles
dynamic
since,
is the central focus.
like, the
only
first
this time
series.
the dad's a bit more stable and frankly amazing. The Professor is one of the most affectionate, involved, and capable of all fictional dads. We see him do everything. Plays with his girls.
He's pretty great.
Works with his girls. Does every job in the house taking care of them. He's excellent at talking to them about their problems. He's able to properly discipline them. Impressive since they're superheroes, and not even too manly to dress up to settle an argument. For other reasons. Again, it's just great to see a dad that doesn't make a big deal of his daughters routinely going out and doing dangerous things. Which isn't to say that he never worries about
Aware of how
them or
powerful they
helps
are.
them, but usually in reasonable circumstances. Though there is a single episode I can recall where he does pull the overprotective dad angle, but I love how it plays out. One day, it suddenly occurs to him that fighting giant monsters is dangerous, but when the girls won't take his worries seriously, he has to threaten them with grounding to use the mecha he made for them, only for it to destroy the city, and then gets berated for it.
Never use that monstrosity again.
But it's the professor's fault. He made us use it.
But
Not perfect, but by most accounts, he's pretty incredible. In fact, the only way someone could be better is if they were a literal god. And kind of. Mufasa from The Lion King. To say that Mufasa gives off the aura of the ultimate father figure is an understatement. Mufasa is the towering, almost super.
Kind of a shame how many of these dads die.
Children look at their
It's a lot of them.
Granted, in an ideal, old school kind of way, but still an untouchable, immovable icon. A seemingly all-powerful, all-confident being that takes care of any problem and knows the answer to every question. Able to go from intimidating to playful in the turn of a dime, and always there when you need him. Sure, maybe it's his royal demeanor that gives him that extra level of grandiose. However, the film still gives him those small, grounded moments that make him feel real. Still, we can see this mythical perception through Simba's eyes, and that's what makes his death so devastating.
Yeah.
But his immense presence remains all throughout the film, as does the impact of our parents affect us long after they're gone. Or at least after we've moved out. So tell me your favorite animated dads. Comment, like, subscribe, etc. And you stay shiny, Animaniacs.
He taught me to drive and to fight and to dream. When he looks in my eyes, I hope he can see that my dad's a hero to me.
Well, there we go. That was that was a good list. I mean, a lot that I well, only really for the thing I only really considered shows I had reacted to. Not everything I'd seen. That would have taken way too long. And yeah, but yeah, pretty good list. Yeah. I guess we can consider some of the ones that she shows at the start to be honorable mentions of sorts. Like, glad we included at least the chibi incarnation of Tai there. Yeah, I mean, just kind of going through it again. Yeah, glad to see Tenzin. I definitely think he deserved it, and Greg for sure. And Stoic, yeah, some really good picks. Hard to really argue with. Yeah, makes for a pretty good list. Though it is, as said, it is kind of a shame how, let's see, I mean, at least 4, I think. Yeah, at least 4 of the dads included end up dying fairly tragically. So that's kind of a shame, but I mean, that's kind of how writing works. When you have a character who is really just indisputably good, often that's the character who gets killed off. And yeah, especially it being a parent of like a main character, that makes it even more likely. But yeah, good list. I enjoyed it. And happy Father's Day to everyone out there. Hope you enjoyed the reaction. Let me know if you did, and see you in the next one.